If you thought Team Obama and the Clintons were dirty and corrupt before, man, this new Russia bombshell tells us we ain't seen nothing yet. By now, I'm sure you've read this outstanding piece of journalism in The Hill entitled, FBI Uncovered Russian Bribery Plot Before Obama Administration Approved Controversial Nuclear Deal with Moscow. Well, of course, they're talking about the Uranium One deal that gave Russia control of 20% of the United States uranium supply. In and of itself egregious. But what's worse, what might be the most egregious political scandal in recent American history is the alleged cover-up of a bribery scheme that involved Hillary Clinton and possibly other Obama administration officials. Now, I won't go through the whole article. It's thousands of words. You've probably already read it. But in short, what's being alleged here is that the Justice Department had mountains of evidence, mountains of criminal probable cause against a guy named Vadim Mikarin back in 2009, 2010. Mikarin was a senior oil executive in Moscow with Rosatom, the company that bought Uranium One, and he was accused of bribing not only private sector business people, but orchestrating a scheme to funnel millions into the Clinton Foundation at a time that Hillary Clinton's signature was needed because she was part of the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States. I always forget that acronym. It's CFIUS. That's going to become relevant later. The Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States. Hillary sat on that committee. Treasury Secretary sat on that committee. Eric Holder sat on that committee. I don't believe in coincidence. That committee sign-off was needed for the Uranium One deal to proceed, and at the exact time, millions flowed into the Clinton Foundation. They had mountains of evidence on Mikarin. But from 2010 to 2014-15, Eric Holder's DOJ did nothing. And when the Mikarin case was finally adjudicated, he wasn't convicted, or prosecuted, I should say first, then convicted of a massive bribery and money laundering scheme. No. He was allowed to plead guilty on one minor count of money laundering. And the DOJ blacked out all mention of the public corruption angle, the Clinton Foundation angle, and the bribery angle in general. This stinks to high heaven. This is a cover-up, the likes of which we have not seen in decades. And the cast of characters involved makes it even more concerning. Eric Holder, and subsequently Loretta Lynch, Robert Mueller when he was FBI director, then subsequently James Comey, Rod Rosenstein, the number 2 at DOJ, Andrew McCabe, the number 2 at FBI. All of the people now involved in investigating Trump for collusion with Russia. Well, there was collusion with Russia. It just wasn't on the part of Team Trump. It appears that it was clearly on the parts of Team Obama and Team Clinton. Now, some of the most concerning things for me are statements by FBI officials and members of Congress. The FBI assistant director in charge of criminal at the time, a guy by the name of Ron Hosko. I've sat on television panels with Ron Hosko. He is a consummate professional, really good guy. He was in charge of criminal at the FBI. He was never briefed on this investigation by the counterintelligence people. Counterintelligence people run at the time by Andrew McCabe, who was in the little cabal with Holder and Rosenstein and Mueller et al. Starting to become clearer now, isn't it? Hosko said, quote, "I had no idea this case was being conducted." The head of criminal at the FBI had no idea a criminal case was being conducted because he wasn't in the right clique. Former Representative Mike Rogers, a Republican, who at the time chaired the House Intelligence Committee. Now remember, FBI counterintelligence that regularly briefs the House Intelligence Committee was running the investigation. Representative Rogers, his committee, nor any member of Congress were ever told about this. They were kept in the dark. The only reason you keep oversight in the dark is if you're covering something up. Former Representative Rogers went on to say, quote, "Not providing information on a corruption scheme before the Russian uranium deal was approved by U.S. regulators and engage appropriate congressional committees have served to undermine U.S. national security interests by the very people charged with protecting them." Has served to undermine U.S. national security interests by the very people charged with protecting them. In short, Hillary Clinton, Eric Holder, Andrew McCabe, Rod Rosenstein, Mueller, Comey, Lynch, the people tasked with protecting our national security, sold out to Russia. That's what Representative Rogers is saying. Representative Rogers is saying. The Senate Judiciary Committee under Chuck Grassley has now opened a massive probe into this in light of this new information. Senator Grassley isn't believing anybody. He said, I'm not convinced by these assurances. The sale of Uranium One resulted in a Russian government takeover of a significant portion of U.S. uranium mining capacity. In light of that fact, very serious questions remain about the basis for the finding that this transaction did not threaten to impair U.S. national security. In short, he's saying, I don't believe a word the Obama administration says about any of this. Senator Grassley, Chairman Grassley, goes on to say, the fact that Rosatom subsidiaries in the United States were under criminal investigation as a result of the U.S. intelligence operation, apparently around the time CFIUS, the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States, approved the Uranium One Rosatom transaction, raises questions about whether that information factored into CFIUS's decision to approve the transaction. So what he's saying in short is, was CFIUS in the dark? Or was Hillary Clinton, who chaired CFIUS at the time, bribed by the Russians to approve this transaction? When you understand how to read into this stuff, it is damning for teams Obama and Hillary. Andrew McCabe, the lead FBI investigator on this, is in all kinds of hot water. A big never Trump guy, big Democrat. His wife took $700,000 around the time this was all going for her Virginia State Senate campaign from longtime Clinton ally and fixer Terry McAuliffe. McCabe is under investigation for that, ethics investigation for that, and for his handling of the email case, of the Clinton email case. McCabe is a bad guy. No idea why he's still at FBI. Many people don't know why he's still at the FBI. Rod Rosenstein is another story in this entirely. Rod Rosenstein isn't only the de facto AG running Mueller's bogus investigation into Trump, but he's also a witness in the same case. Something so improper, so unusual, that Obama ally fired U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, Preet Bharara, called it, quote, odd and unusual, and said, quote, it would seem that there's a conflict. Of course there's a conflict. I've never heard of a witness also running the investigation. If you're a witness, you have a point of view. If you have a point of view, you have an opinion. And if you have an opinion, you have bias. Mueller should not be running, Rosenstein should not be running Mueller's investigation. It's simply ludicrous. But the guy who is running all this, the investigation and all this, the guy who apparently stonewalled it from 2010 to 2014 is Eric Holder. I have zero use for Eric Holder. I think he was the most corrupt AG in U.S. history. He's the only member of a president's cabinet to ever be held in contempt of Congress. He architected Fast and Furious, the gun running scheme to Mexico that got border agent Brian Terry killed. He was spying on journalists alongside Barack Obama, getting subpoenas on guys like Fox News' James Rosen. And he didn't prosecute the IRS scandal when the IRS weaponized against conservatives. Sometimes you can tell a lot about a person by what they don't do. Let's not even get into the Bill Clinton, Loretta Lynch private jet meeting. This new information raises a whole host of questions about that, about what they really discussed, because it certainly was not grandkids and golf. And miraculously, now that DOJ is in a little bit of hot water, and groups like Judicial Watch are making noise and suing and issuing subpoenas, the FBI miraculously turned up 30 more pages of information on that meeting that they either claimed didn't exist or that they couldn't find. It is simply ridiculous and simply sickening. What's even worse is that all of this is clearly criminal. I'm going to call it right now. It's clearly criminal. And we see precedent cases being prosecuted. Senator Bob Menendez, he's being prosecuted because of a lavish lifestyle he lived at the expense of a doctor donor who wanted favors from him. Hillary flies private. The Clinton Foundation affords the Clinton family a very lavish lifestyle off of money that came in from Russian oil concerns when Hillary signed off on a deal that benefited them into the billions upon billions of dollars. That's slam dunk bribery. Alleged bribery, I should say. Representative Corinne Brown from Florida was sentenced to 18 counts. They included 6 different crimes: conspiracy to commit mail or wire fraud, those wires into the Clinton Foundation; crimes like aiding and abetting wire fraud, those wires into the Clinton Foundation; scheming to conceal material facts. It's the Clintons. Corruptly obstructing tax laws, Clinton Foundation's charitable foundation. Filing false tax returns. See my previous point. But I do love that Donald Trump is getting tough. President Trump has come out swinging. And he is tweeting about James Comey and about all of the dirt surrounding this. President Trump tweeted, "Wow, FBI confirms that James Comey drafted letter exonerating crooked Hillary Clinton long before investigation was complete. Many people not interviewed, including Clinton herself." Again, unprecedented. Comey, what he did was unprecedented in the investigative world, as dirty as it gets. Comey stated under oath, still reading the president's tweets, Comey stated under oath that he didn't do this. Obviously a fix and also perjury, Mr. President. Where is the Justice Department? Great question. I ask it every day. He went on to tweet. President Trump went on to tweet. As it turned out, James Comey lied and leaked and totally protected Hillary Clinton. He was the best thing that ever happened to her. 100% right, Mr. President. This stuff needs to be prosecuted. The United States is about justice for all. We're a constitutional republic. There cannot be one set of justice for people like Hillary Clinton and Team Obama and another for the rest of us. Our republic will collapse. We need to put an end to it now. The Justice Department needs to do something about it. And if Jeff Sessions won't, he needs to be replaced. If you find this content as riveting and as important as I do, and if you watch that whole segment, you know it is, help us keep bringing it to you by subscribing to our premium service at www.therebel.media/shows. I'm John Cardillo. I'm going to be bringing you a lot more on this in the coming days. Thanks so much for watching.